Companies are lying about AI layoffs. We've seen this string of companies like Coinbase, Cloudflare, and Square say they are getting rid of people because they want to become faster and more efficient with AI. And then the headline becomes that AI is leading to job loss, but this is not accurate in any way. The reason is when you pull back the curtain on Coinbase, for example, you'll notice their trading revenue is down roughly 40%. And we're currently in a crypto bear market. So they likely also overhired. Maybe they hired some underperformers, because when you hire people, you can do all the due diligence you want, but you won't know if they're capable until they start working. So the angle is this. If you as a CEO like Brian Armstrong are leading a public company like Coinbase that has like $5 billion in cash, they lost a lot of trading revenue, and there's new participants entering the market like Hyperliquid that are faster and more efficient with less employees. You have Schwab crypto entering the market as well. Are you going to go to your investors and say, hey, we overhired a bunch of underperformers and our revenue is down, so we have to get rid of 14% of our staff? That's not going to sound very sexy. It's not going to make investors very confident in you. However, if you go to these investors or you go to the public, your stakeholders, whoever it may be, and you say, hey, we're getting rid of 14% of our staff because we want to become faster and more efficient and embrace AI. That sounds way sexier. It instills a lot more confidence in your stakeholders, and they'll definitely sign off on that. So everybody really wants to be like Elon Musk, who is extremely fast, lean, and efficient with his teams. He works 90 hours a week or whatever, right? So for people to sit here and say that AI is leading to job loss, when you pull back the curtain on a lot of these companies, they're just actually underperforming and they're trying to copy Elon. Now, is AI leading to some job loss? Absolutely it is. But just like every single other technology that came before AI, there are new problems to solve, bigger problems to solve with AI. If you use AI regularly, yes, it speeds up your task workflow, but it doesn't solve all the problems in the world overnight. It would be highly unlikely for the first time in human history, after thousands or millions of different pieces of technology emerged that eliminated all those different jobs before them, it would be the first time in history that a single technology was so disruptive, it led to mass job loss where humans had literally nothing to do. We understand 1% of the universe, if that. We can't even successfully go to and stay in space and go to a different planet. There's a lot of resources in space. There's a lot more water out there, gold, metals, whatever it may be outside of Earth. Okay, so with that, there's also a lot bigger problems to solve. The task is not the same as a job. If you're a marketer and you're creating content and you're using AI, you can now make content faster, you can edit faster, you could potentially scale an entire marketing campaign by yourself. However, that does not guarantee that your campaign will be successful or the company will be successful, because those are just tasks. So when these companies are coming out and saying they're firing people because of AI, it's an absolute lie. And I respect Brian Armstrong. I think he's a legendary founder. However, I think he's dealing with quite a bit of intense competition, and I'm sure his investors are breathing down his neck. There's a lot of people trying to tap into crypto liquidity now. Crypto was this niche, rebellious thing. Now it's essentially a boomer asset. Will it grow from here? Yes, but boomers want to trade it now too. But there's other participants. They're also competing against prediction markets like Polymarket and Kalshi. People consider crypto gambling, so they're also competing with sports betting websites. They're competing with not only Hyperliquid, but the 1,000 iterations of other markets, right? People want to invest and trade. They want more options. And then not only that, while they had an institutional head start, when Schwab enters the market that has, billions of money on their platform, these people don't want to move their money off of Schwab to Coinbase. It's too much friction for them. They hire brokers. So it sounds really sexy to want to be faster and more efficient like Elon Musk, but it's just not realistic. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that these scary headlines lead to people using AI products, right? So if it says, AI is going to take this job and replace lawyers, people are going to think, I don't want to be a part of the permanent underclass. I don't want to lose my job. I better learn how to use AI to AI-proof my job. So the reality is that as people continue to use these tools over time, they will likely run into different and bigger problems to solve. There was, it was Databricks, I believe, the CEO just did a podcast. And the CEO came out and said he had this feature update that would have taken 9 months. And they did certain things a certain way, which it would take 9 months. So he went to the people in charge of it and they're like, hey, can you use AI to increase efficiency here so we can do this faster? They came back and they said, well, we can shave off 2 months. So then he hired a guy who was like independent of that team. And he said, I want you to investigate this and see if we can do it faster. And he went and he thought from first principles and he redid the whole process. And now they can deliver in 1 month. Now they didn't do the whole thing with AI. It wasn't that. It was that AI basically shined a flashlight on the problem. And they thought of a way to become more efficient, but they didn't replace anyone's job. They just became faster and more efficient. Companies and startups have all sorts of opportunities like this that AI is uncovering. So like I said before, it's helping us solve bigger problems, uncover new problems to solve, which means technology will get bigger, better, and faster. Now, what the second and third order effects of that are, I have no idea yet, but it's an exciting time to be messing around with AI.